Hey everybody, I'm Griffin, and this is Theta, and this is a death battle! No, that's not our intro. Welcome to Stone-Faced Reactions, where we watch videos and then don't react to them whatsoever. Right. Hey everybody, welcome back once again to Stone-Faced Reactions. I'm Griffin, and this is Theta, and we have once again risen from the earth to watch videos. So after a long hibernation, we've got a brand new deal. We have a wheel of randomization. Show them the wheel, Theta. Spin it. Spin the wheel.
Well, not spinning it just yet, because once we start spinning, we go to the reaction. But
well, I mean, we gotta know what we're gonna react to so we can talk about it, right?
That's fair enough. I guess I'll spin the wheel.
Yeah. Come
All
on, wheel. What we got today? I've got to actually zoom in on this to actually read it. What do we got? Gotta lean in.
It'll pop in on the bottom. Star Wars versus Lord of the Rings.
All right. I saw that one on the list, and I have to ask, wait, so all of Star Wars versus Lord of the Rings?
I have no idea.
I mean, this is Death Battle, so I'm going to assume it's going to be the entire universe versus the entire universe.
Not Death Battle.
Oh, not Death Battle. Oh, this is one of the movie ones, isn't it?
That it is.
Oh, that's a completely different question, because I've been boggling like, man, I think half of nearly 90% of Lord of the Rings would get dunked on by Star Wars. Now it's movie comparisons. And to that, do we want to like take sides or make bets here?
Well, we have to take sides. That's what we do. This is our thing.
All right, so I'll ask, do you like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings better?
Oh, so you're giving me first choice in our very first episode of the new season.
I'm a friendly person, and I'm fine with continually losing.
Well, then I'd have to go with Star Wars.
Ooh, all right. I was definitely going to go for Lord of the Rings, so this works out perfectly. So, I guess just to preface it, Lord of the Rings is a literary classic that is very hard to top and has consistent themes throughout, starts and finishes exactly where it ought to be, and is great. And when it comes to its film release, I mean, it's really hard to top that. That was like the biggest thing at that time when it came out. And Star Wars like has always pushed like the special effects like very far with like the LucasArts team, but it doesn't really end up like as consistent or having like that exact same like it doesn't hit the same way Lord of the Rings does. What do you think, Theta? Why are you in on Star Wars?
Well, I think all the points that you applied apply also to Star Wars. It changed a generation of movie-going audiences. It came out, shortly after Jaws did, right? Which was the start of the blockbuster, and this was a follow-up to that. I mean, I can't argue box office numbers, because obviously Lord of the Rings...
Yeah, we shouldn't argue numbers here, I think. I think that's just wrong.
Well, I don't know. They might argue numbers. Maybe it's the entire point of the argument. But, I mean, I know book sales. Book sales, obviously, Lord of the Rings beats out Star Wars. Even with all the EU books that were out there. It's been out there longer. Lord of the Rings has been around longer. It has two creepy-looking animated films. It has... 6 full-length feature films?
It's got Leonard Nimoy doing the song for it.
Yeah. I mean, we got Mark Hamill, and you can't beat Mark Hamill.
That is true. Mark is like a big point forward for Star Wars. You know, you can't beat him just as an actor.
Or voice actor.
Or voice actor. He's pretty great. All right. So
I mean, I guess I'm going just on feels. I'm just going on feels. I like the sci-fi fantasy aesthetic of the space opera more than I do Lord of the Rings, the just fantasy opera.
I gotta say though, at least like only in like a narrative comparison, Star Wars has a lot of cool moments where like heroes step up and then do a cool thing. But there's very few moments that are like actually like directly inspiring, I think. That would be my opinion. Because
You
like
think
when
Star
I think
Wars
Lord of the
lacks
Rings,
inspiring moments?
well, when I think Lord of the Rings, I think of the small talk between Sam and Frodo as they're looking up at the night sky over Mordor and opining about how that there is light beyond that which darkness and evil could ever touch. And that gives them a continued hope. And then they have to trek across a damn mountain still.
Yeah, kind of like how the first movie of Star Wars is named A New Hope, and that's the entire premise of the film as they trek across a galaxy. I mean, think back to any time you've ever heard playing, and it wasn't an inspiring scene of hope.
I think it's different. That's where I'll go ahead and stop my argument there. I'm good.
A fresh-faced young boy sets out to change the course of a galaxy, whereas a non-fresh-faced middle-aged young man sets forth to throw a ring into a volcano. Should have ridden a bird. Like a falcon of some sort. Could have ridden a falcon.
Frodo isn't the chosen one. That's the point.
Well, he was.
A harder journey for them.
He was at one point. Frodo could have ended it all in the first movie.
But I mean, if we want to step back into like my like 8th grade middle school English essay, it's the point of Lord of the Rings is that ordinary people have more effect on the world than they think, whereas Luke is explicitly special.
Yeah, he's a special moisture farmer from the back ass end of the galaxy.
Who's the son of the most powerful Jedi to ever live, who then ends up becoming the most powerful Jedi to ever live.
Was he, though?
Either way, he's special in ways Frodo definitely is not.
Oh, sure, Frodo, who only gets the hand-me-downs of the best adventurers ever. Is that not the same thing, when you think about it? Getting the hand-me-downs of the most powerful people around? Is that not what Luke also got?
All I'm saying is I haven't seen Elijah Wood do a flip.
Have you not?
Nah, is there a video? I want to see that.
I'm sure he does. He has he used to hang out with the Johnny Depp. What's the guy from Titanic?
Isn't it Tom Cruise?
Yeah, Tom Cruise, famously from the Titanic.
I don't know. I've never seen it.
You never saw Titanic? You know, he says on top of the world. Shoot, I can't remember. He did all that stuff to get the Oscar. He was in Django Unchained. He was in what was the one where he fights a bear? Anyway, he used to run around with that guy for a long time, and they did a lot of crazy shit.
All right. Well, before we start getting talk about Titanic, I guess let's go ahead and check out the video. What's better, Star Wars or Lord of the Rings?
Rivalries, the show where we pit two movies head-to-head and let you decide the winner.
We get to decide. All right, I decide Lord of the Rings is better. I already win. How you feel, thing?
Well, I edited the video, so I didn't hear what you just said, and I think I won.
Do battle as Star Wars goes head-to-head with Lord of the Rings. I'll briefly be covering the characters, the stories, the world building, and the assembly. There's a ton to cover here and a short amount of time to do it, so let's get started.
Box office revenue wasn't in there, so...
Some of the most recognizable characters in film have come from these two properties. Star Wars has a massive catalog of heroes and villains of all shapes and sizes. We spend the bulk of the 3-episode adventure with Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, Chewbacca,
over a lot of media
R2-D2,
instead of like
and
a couple of books.
Lord of the Rings is no slouch in the hero department either. There's a fellowship's worth of protagonists here. Frodo, Sam, Merry, Pippin, Gimli, Legolas, Aragorn, and Gandalf will journey across Middle-earth and straight into our hearts. The destination is obviously of utmost importance, but so is the journey and the friendships they make along the way. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda, Lando Calrissian, Admiral Akbar, and of course those incorrigible little scamps, the Ewoks, all play pivotal roles in helping our heroes win the day. There are too many characters to list in Lord of the Rings, and many of them I will butcher, but I'll list a few anyways. Bilbo Baggins, Boromir, Lady Galadriel, Arwen, Elrond, Faramir. Even with all the great help, it still pales in comparison to
Tom
the sheer
Bombadil.
breadth of the villain's camp.
I mean,
Darth
that was one
Vader
movie,
needs
and
no
apparently we're not
introduction,
including
as
it.
he's one of the greatest antagonists in movie history. He and his master, simply known as the Emperor in the original
Antagonist.
films, would stop at nothing to spread the influence of the dark side and destroy anyone that opposed them. Certainly helps when you have a couple giant Death Stars at your disposal and expendable stormtroopers willing to throw down their lives
out
for
the
the
fact
good
that
of the
the
Empire.
entirety of Lord of the
And
Rings
many
could
of
be
them
take
do,
place
too,
on the
as
Death
they
Star.
can't hit a damn thing with their blasters. Sauron is the large threat in Lord of the Rings. The ruler of
God, it's a
Mordor
crossover
has his
I now
eyes
want.
set on a much bigger prize.
Lord of the Rings set on the
all
Death
of
Star.
Middle-earth.
Sauron
Since
has
he
to
can't
fight
do
Darth
much more
Vader
than
to reach
blink
the
and roast
detention level.
marshmallows in his current form, he enlists the help of all that will do his
The thing
bidding.
is,
Trolls,
when I was thinking
goblins,
about them actually
dragons,
fighting,
even fallen kings. This army is massive
Sauron
and
is
ever-growing,
basically
quite
like
literally,
half
as they can
angel,
grow
kind
these
of.
nasty
And that's
things
the
like
only
some
people
sort
that
of
matter
freakish
in a fight
Build-A-Bear out
with
of
Lord of the
mud and
Rings
hate.
versus Star Wars.
Sauron even has the help
They can
of
probably
the
take a
White Wizard
Jedi.
Saruman. Yeah, that's right. The author, J.R.R.
Not Vader,
Tolkien,
though.
decided to name his two
Vader's
main
fucking
villains,
badass.
Vader's
Sauron
special.
and Saruman,
Well,
to, I guess, confuse
maybe.
simpletons such as myself. He could have gone with Sauron and Bob, for instance. Not as much pageantry
I mean, the
there,
best
but
arguments are the ones where I don't have to
would've
draw
been
any
able
facts.
to,
You just
know,
say
immediately
maybe, and
know
it's
which
like,
is
yep,
which.
I've won.
You can't forget the lovable tyke Gollum, aka Smeagol. He's essentially what Always Sunny in Philadelphia's cricket is becoming over time. A shell of the Hobbit he once was, now alive by sheer will to get back to the ring. I mean, really, when you think about it, the ring itself is the main antagonist here. The representation of greed, power, and the folly of man. As incredible as both sets of characters are, Star Wars just seems to have a wider variety of unique humans, aliens, and robots.
Yeah,
we'll
people.
go into this further in a later
Not
round.
objects.
For now,
Oh, there we
Star Wars
go.
takes the win.
That's what you like to see.
Ah, dang.
Long
Well,
ago, in a galaxy far,
numbers and
far
everything.
away, George Lucas wrote a trilogy
Well, it
that
is
would
when you're
become
keeping
a
score.
household staple
I guess
from
so.
folks all around the world. When we meet Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker, he's just your everyday, run-of-the-mill moisture farmer, enjoying his youth by heading into Tashi Station for power converters or bullseye and womp rats in his T-16, much like you and I would do. That is, until a couple of mysterious droids with a secret message from Princess Leia get his attention. It's revealed that old Ben down the road is actually a Jedi Master named Obi-Wan.
Feels like
and
it's a much
shortly
more
after,
common story
Luke realizes
that
the
you get a
Lars
hologram
household should have
message
invested in a
from the
fire
princess,
extinguisher.
from
Next
your-
thing
As
Luke
you do.
knows,
from
he's
your
wrapped
slave
up in a
droid.
battle for the fate of the galaxy
Rather than
while training
some
to be a
dude
Jedi
hands you a
himself.
ring.
Eventually, he will come in contact with a
Well,
smuggler named
iPhone
Han
here
Solo,
probably do
played by
holograms
Harrison
at this
Ford.
point, right?
He and his best friend Chewie will
don't have
partake
a
in the
phone, I have no
rescue of
idea.
Carrie Fisher's Leia in order to pay
Phone
off
technology
the
is
debt
beyond
owed to
me.
the notorious Jabba the Hutt. The first film closes with the rebels defeating Darth Vader and blowing up the Empire's Death Star. Everyone's treated to a nice little ceremony where Chewbacca gets snubbed from receiving his own personal medallion. That wound's still fresh. Empire Strikes Back.
That's how much
puts the
you-
audience
Chewbacca's
right
just
into the
above
action
material
on planet
concerns,
Hoth.
alright?
See, that's how much you can
Disarms a
look
Wampa,
into
sleeps
everything.
inside
You
a
can
dead
notice
Tauntaun
Chewbacca gets a
carcass
snub.
and downs a massive AT-AT. How was your weekend?
Lord of the Rings
The
is
band
very
breaks up for
slow
a bit
going in a
as
lot of
Luke
parts.
makes his
You
way
don't
to
see a lot of
Dagobah to
shit
train
going
with
on.
Master Yoda, while the rest head on up to Cloud City for a good meal of Double Cross. Han's friend Lando wasn't on the up and up when they arrived, but he does his best to make things right. Sometimes your best just isn't good enough. Han is frozen in carbonite, C-3PO gets dismantled, and Luke gets his ass handed to him by his dad, Darth Vader. I mean, technically he gets his hand handed to him after a lightsaber
So the
cuts
thing
through it
I'm
like
sticking
butter.
out
The
to
reveal
me
that
actually is
Vader
that
was
Star
his
Wars,
father was
the original
insane
trilogy, really
and
is
would
like
be
3
parodied
completely
and
separate
incorrectly
stories, isn't
quoted
it?
for years to come. The Return of the Jedi
They do
offers
follow
a learning
linearly,
tale
but
by
they are
mixing
just
in some of the
completely
darker
separate.
themes from Empire with
Well,
a more lighthearted,
I don't know what
Care
your
Bears
point is. Your
aesthetic.
guess?
The film starts
They
a
didn't
year
tell the
later,
same
where
story
an
3
elaborate and
times?
somewhat confusing rescue mission is
Well,
underway.
no,
It's
because
Solo
the
out of
comparison here is
clutches
that Lord of the
Jabba
Ring is
Hutt.
one
Luke kills the
story
Rancor.
that takes
Han
3
embraces
books
Boba
to
Fett.
tell, whereas Star Wars
Supposedly
here
one of the
is like,
greatest
here's the
Mandalorian
one where they
bounty
blow up
hunters
the
of all
Death Star,
time.
here's the one where they all get
See
betrayed
what's
at
going
Cloud
on
City,
behind
and
him.
here's the one
Got
where they
his,
blow it up again.
Backpack tripped up, his jetpack flew into a Sarlacc pit. While Slave Leia
I think you'll
chokes
find,
out
though,
Jabba
that
the
it's,
Hutt,
as you said,
leading
one
to some very
continuous
strange
story,
fetishes moving forward.
though.
The rebels learn of a
You
second
find
Death
out
Star,
where
now
they
with Shield
happens
DLC.
in the-
Solo and company
The first
fight on
movie
planet
ends,
Endor
right?
alongside
Action
their new
falls,
Ewok friends
is
to
what
shut
I'm
down
saying.
The first
Shield
movie
generators.
ends, and the second
Meanwhile,
movie
Luke is having the
follows.
worst family
And the
reunion
second movie
ever,
ends,
and a
and the
massive
third
battle
movie
is taking
follows. I
place
think
all
you'll
around
find
them.
at the end of the
Luke
day, Lord of the
convinces
Rings
Vader
follows that same
perhaps being a
structure.
deadbeat dad with
don't
the
know what you're
physical
getting at here.
manifestation of cancer as your leader is not the best look.
I think the only point that you could actually make is that Lord of the Rings was based on books, and the books were written 40 to 50 years before the movies were.
Lord of the Rings is a much more complex beast, and far longer too. Especially if you watch
whereas Star Wars was written on the fly.
Director Peter Jackson takes the 1954 book and its sequels
and brings
them to life.
The reason we're talking over this part is because we know Lord of the Rings is going to win story. Again, it was a book series written 50 to 60 years before the movies came out. There's an entire book series, an entire book, The Simulacrum, which is literally similar to Simulacrum of a book. Anyway, it's not even really a book. It's basically a history of the world of Lord of the Rings before anything you'll ever see in the movies. You can literally never read it, and it will never be anything to you.
I read about half of it, which is still twice as much as the person who made like the book report test in middle school did.
From the rest of the party. Eventually, Gollum catches
I'm just saying
up
it's
with
entirely
Frodo and
pointless.
Sam to
Yeah,
help
I'll just
guide
read
them
about the first 3 and 4th.
to their death. Fortunately for
whatever's
Frodo,
of humanity.
Sam is basically the best person ever.
Does it have anything to do with what happens in the movies?
Started making trouble in
A
the
little
neighborhood.
bit. Like that one 2-minute scene where you see Sauron? Oh, I'm sorry, that was a 1-minute scene because Sauron isn't in the fucking movie that much.
For a battle at Helm's Deep.
Well, if you ever want to know what happened to the backstory of the guy, of the guy, of the guy, of the guy who made Sauron a guy.
I've already glossed over a ton
well, you see, it all starts with the Maiar, which are a bunch of heavenly choir that sing for well, never mind, we'll get back to that later. Gandalf's about to stab something.
As Gandalf the White. In the final act of this saga, Aragorn enlists the help of the Ghost Army to turn the tide of war. Gimli continues to cheat at his kill count,
the Ghost Army's
and Sauron
invincible.
is finally destroyed
We don't
after
need
Gollum
anything
is reunited
anymore.
with his long-lost love. Plunging together
They never
in the
really
lava of
describe
Mount
like how it
Doom,
works,
we're then
but it
treated to
really
another
doesn't
6
matter,
hours
does
of
it?
closure.
No, they
Joking.
defeat
Listen,
everything
the
in
Star
their
Wars
path.
story's
It doesn't
great.
matter.
It's fun, it's action-packed,
The only thing that would take them out
say it's better than
would be a
Lord
Death
of the
Star.
Rings, it's just insulting.
I'm just saying
Takes
Star
the
Wars would
win.
win in a galaxy that they were combined in.
Star Wars and Lord of the Rings have seen success
Star Wars has
most
more of them,
properties
I
can only
win.
dream of. Toy lines, board games, TV show spin-offs, prequel films, video games, a Christmas special.
You might say
Entire expanded universe.
You might say that Star Wars worlds are all one note. Yeah, but I have 7 million notes.
Trilogy with wild imagination put into
It's
each.
not like as
Tatooine may
bad
have
as it could
played out
possibly
now,
be, where
but
everything
Luke's
is a
home
planet
will
that
always hold a
has.
special place for fans' hearts.
There is
It's
at
like
least
if
occasionally
Boring had a
subtlety
place
in
to
them, like,
visit.
I'll give them
The first
that.
stop would be Tatooine. It's a
I'm
giant
just saying, even
desert
if
for
there's
the
not
most part
subtlety,
that's home
I
to
have
some
7
moisture
million
farmers,
hats.
a Sarlacc
That's what
pit,
I'm
and a
saying.
Crime Lord's crappy
How
palace
can you fit them
located
all
in
on
the
your
Dune
head?
Sea. Then there's
Every
the
one
planet
of my
Hoth.
hat
As someone from
planets
Minnesota,
is still
this
a
feels all
planet
too real.
with
A
its own
snow-capped
people
hurt locker
and
that's
notes
only redeemable
and
quality
effects.
are those sweet, sweet tauntauns.
I have
Indoor might be my
more
favorite locale,
one-note
with giant
planet
tree
locations
forts and
than you
huggable
have
demon
locations
bears.
in
The
Lord of the
speed biker
Rings.
trails are a must
Though I guess to
if
be
you
fair,
visit.
he is just
Cloud
talking about the
City
movie
features a
locations
nice,
right now.
futuristic vibe with one of the
Sure, but
smoothest
even then,
smugglers
planets
that
get
I've
talked
bested.
about,
Lest I
noted,
forget Dagobah, home
referenced.
to pretty much everything I hate in this world. Snakes, swamp monsters, fever dreams, and I would assume plenty of insects. Its only saving grace is that
feels
the
like New
wisest
Orleans.
Muppet ever lives there. The planets are only one aspect, of course, to what Star Wars has to offer. The ships, the weaponry, the alien races, the uniforms, the computer systems, the droids, the hairstyles, the Force. It was all so different and unique compared to everything else at the time. Lord of the Rings was working from a book series, so Jackson had the tough task of not only making visually appealing creations, but also pleasing the incredibly passionate fan base.
There you go.
For most, he crushed it. Middle-earth is perhaps not as varied as the many planets Lucas could take us to, but it still has plenty to offer. The mines are peppered with orgs, cave trolls, and dark ancient demons the further down
Yeah,
you
but
dig.
Star Wars also
The
has a lot
Shire
of
is a much
caves.
nicer place to visit. One you can actually stop by.
Star
if
Wars
you ever
also
find
has a
yourself
lot
in New
of
Zealand.
caves.
The
Coach
home of the Hobbit
2021.
is second only to Rivendell
Look,
in
when
my
you
eyes.
say, oh, the
Magical,
cave trolls,
hidden
blah, blah, blah,
land
yeah,
with
Star Wars
lush
has a bunch of caves
waterfalls,
too.
gorgeous
With a
architecture,
giant
and those amazing
wampa,
elves,
which is effectively
which
a troll
unfortunately
too.
have to put up with Liv Tyler
Yeah,
crying every
yeah,
scene
no, I'll
she's
give
in.
you that one.
If you're looking for something a bit more nightmare fuel to spice up your day, I'd recommend a quick jaunt on over to Mordor, your one-stop shop for Hell on Earth-inspired experiences. There's a volcano.
Yeah, we
a
call that
horrific evil eye
Mustafar
that's
in
constantly
Star Wars,
staring and
the volcano
glancing,
world,
watching, just
with a
looking
thriving
everywhere. And
industry.
creatures that will make you wish for a quick death. On your journey, do yourself the disservice.
I gotta
of
question
heading on
that
through
from
the
what
dead
I know
marshes.
about
If you're
Mustafar,
lucky,
but you
you
know
might
what? That's
stumble
not
into a
really
cave,
part of this
home to an
conversation.
ancient spider queen who will stalk you for sport. Not to be outdone by Endor, Lord of the Rings has tree houses too. To get there, you just need to get past highly skilled archers
tree
and
houses,
the
the true
strikingly
equalizer.
beautiful Kate Blanchett. From the snowy peaks and the misty mountains to the lush forests of Fangorn, New Zealand has plenty to offer, and you can find it all in the 12-hour brochure titled The Lord of the Rings. I'm gonna have to say lightsabers beats old wooden staffs in this round. Star Wars takes
Told you.
it.
Ah, shit, is this
I've
where we
read
find out that the
technology has
entire
come
thing
a
is
very
rigged
long
from the
way
beginning
since
to
the
be a
70s.
tie?
I read. I would be lying
Why
if I
wouldn't
said
it
Star
be?
Wars isn't showing its age. The thing is,
So you can
even
always
with some of
tell.
the
Is
dated
there
effects
only
and
4
stick action and
categories? Because
spots,
any
the
real
characters and
thing
story
only have
really
3
drive everything
categories.
else.
Or
Richard
5.
Edlund, John Dykstra, and a talented visual effects team at Industrial Light and Magic went above and beyond to make this film work.
Oh
The
yeah, you
space
can't beat
combat featuring
ILM.
TIE fighters,
What was
X-Wings,
Lord of the Rings
Imperial
working with?
Star Destroyers, the iconic Millennium Falcon, and a lot
Like
of
this kind of like fits back into the
explosions
world
provided
thing of
audiences
like
with an
Lord of the Rings does
experience
very well
never
in
seen
creating
at
like
such a
its
scale.
own epic
Yoda,
little
Jabba,
scenes
and
and
many other
moments
creatures
from
were fantastically
relatively
detailed, with
ordinary
impressive
being on a
voice work
planet and
facial
seeing a big
movements.
thing stuff,
Lucas
you know?
uses the entire toolbox to make a series of films
No,
that
I
feel
don't,
connected.
because they had
Stop
to
motion, animatronics,
create fantasy
puppeteering,
races and a
modeling,
wizard
matte paintings,
and
the old
everything
tried and
else.
true
They
method
weren't
of just
building on the
shoving an actor
ordinary.
into
They created a
tight-fitting
dragon
costume until it
firework
passes
because the
out from
ordinary
exhaustion.
wasn't working
I
for
mean, this
them.
stuff happened. We had sets getting destroyed by
The kids are
storms,
falling
actors
asleep.
were
Give 'em
passing
some
out from
dragon
dehydration.
firework.
The studio had zero faith in the production, and some of the
Yeah,
talent thought the
it's
whole
the
thing was
give
a joke.
Ewok starburst
Lucas never
scene.
faltered in his vision, though, and the rest, as they say, is history. Peter
I'm just saying,
Jackson
there's
had
an
the
entire
benefit
film
of 30
production
years of
model
tech
they had to
advancements,
make
which
for
he
Star Wars
absolutely
to
took
get it to work.
advantage of. Massive
Where,
armies built
they had
on
to
computers
film
were
TIE
blended in
fighters
with
and they had to cut
on-screen
the TIE
actors.
fighters out of the
Enormous
film
CG
to create a
creatures
black
like the
backdrop
cave
to then
troll and the
create
Balrog
a
were
backdrop
masterfully
for the
glued
sky.
alongside costume
They didn't have
actors.
computer
Even though Jackson had
processing
the
like
luxury
Lord of
of
the
new
Rings
tech,
did.
he used an
All
impressive
that
amount
shit.
Yeah, there was a lot of
practical
physical
effects
effects
still.
that like
Many
are
of the sets
basically
were
lost
built
on
out,
everyone
and
now.
a good chunk of filming was done on location. Forced perspective was used to
Yeah,
give the
you can't
illusion
just
that
go
the
to
hobbits
New
were much
Zealand
smaller than
to
the
make
rest of their
Endor
party.
look real.
Motion capture was also starting to
do
really
Endor
take
shot.
off after Jar Jar Binks was revealed in The Phantom Menace back in 1999. Lord of the Rings took things up about 10 notches with Gollum. That was me turning up the notch. What a Workshop was
Oh, yeah,
responsible for all
mocap.
the slick armor, the
Who
weapons,
needs mocap?
miniatures,
I got a bunch
makeup,
of people
and
in Ewok
creatures, which
outfits.
included around 10,000 orc heads. I believe it, considering the amount that get lopped off by swords. Speaking of which, Hollywood swordmaster Bob Anderson trained and helped choreograph the fights for the films. Something that was desperately needed during that Kenobi-Darth Vader hunt and peck duel. Justify it all you want.
That had
but
weight,
scene's aged
okay?
worse than
People
my
weren't doing
HD
fucking
DVD
backflips.
collection.
That had weight
Both
behind it.
franchises have
I'm
themes
with
and
you on
overall
that right
scores
there,
that
Theta.
trounce most other properties.
There's
John
nothing
Williams gives us
necessarily
so
wrong
many
with that
wonderful
fight.
songs in Star
Also,
Wars.
actual
The main
sword
theme
fighting,
and the
like
Imperial
fencing
March
duels and
have a
whatnot,
stark
back in the
contrast,
day, they
mixing
were
themes of
slow.
hope and
Because people
fantasy
were afraid of
against the building
fucking
dread of the
dying in the
Empire.
most painful
Plus,
way
that Mos Eisley
possible.
Cantina band really knows how to put on a show. Howard
You got
Leslie
stabbed
Shore
once in a
isn't playing
fencing
around
duel
either
and
when
you,
it comes
like,
to scoring
bled to
Lord of
death
the Rings.
slowly.
The music,
I think at this point it's been demonstrated one hit with a
music's
lightsaber
beautiful.
is pretty
The
life
strings and
affecting.
flutes carelessly flutter into the theme, which
I don't know,
has
it's
an
hard because
optimistic yet
you know,
sad
punctured,
feel to it.
but you also
It
get
accompanies the
cauterized at
trilogy
the same
perfectly.
time.
Look, the guy spent 4
Right.
years
Still
working
not
on
good.
scoring these pictures with around 13 hours of released music. There are crazy instruments coming and going, a multitude of musical styles with a full
Are you gonna say
orchestra
Lord of the Rings
performing
has
some
better
of the
music
best
than
scores
Star
ever.
Wars?
The work speaks for itself. And
Yes.
I just spoke
No.
for it too. Just not as good. Lucas and his talented team are always worth celebrating, but I think Peter Jackson built on their foundation and took things even further. This round is going to Lord of the
Lord of the
Rings.
Rings has 17 fucking endings.
I come back to you
What
now.
about the ending where they
At
go
the
back
turn
to
of the tide,
Hobbiton and then
to
beat up
cast a winner.
Saruman, who's an
This
old
is no
man
easy
with no
contest
power?
to call. There is so much to respect between
And
the two
see that the
trilogies.
dragon killed
Even though
everybody
these
when they
rounds
weren't
shook out
watching.
at a tie, I personally prefer the Lord of the Rings. Mainly for like
I'll tell you this,
skateboarding down
Star Wars
the
didn't leave as much.
people in the face
Star
with
Wars
his bow
didn't
and
leave as
arrow.
much on the
Now
cutting
that I
room
put
floor as
myself
Lord of the
out there,
Rings
I want to
did.
hear from you.
There's entire
Leave a
sections of the
comment
book
with
they
your
didn't
pick
cover.
and why you made that choice. I want to thank you for watching.
Well, that's what the
I'm
extended
Adam,
editions are
and
for,
this
right?
is Real Rivalries.
No, because they didn't make them.
Thanks again for watching the rivalry. If you enjoyed the video,
When they made
make
the
sure to
extended
hit that
editions,
like
but they
button
didn't
and
include the
comment
stuff
with
that
your
they didn't
episode
include.
winner. If
The
you're a
extended
fan of
editions
movie
only include the
debates,
stuff that
feel
they
free
shot
to
and didn't put in the
subscribe to
movie.
Screen Rant for more real rivalries
Well,
much,
it looks
much
like we're
more.
still at a tie, though. So let's go back to who would win in a fight. I think a whole bunch of angels from Lord of the Rings would probably beat up a whole bunch of Jedi. What do you think?
I don't think those angels can fly out into space, and the Death Star comes along, and boom, Lord of the Rings planet's gone.
Well, they can create entire worlds just by singing about them.
And the Death Star was still out there.
And they could probably sing Alderaan back together.
Which, again, doesn't prevent the Death Star. Okay, we just go back to the end of the entire Star Wars trilogy, where they have Star Destroyers that have the super laser on it for some goddamn reason.
Let's do the Sauron versus Vader fight. We kind of glossed over that, but that'd be fucking awesome.
Well, that's just a thrown lightsaber through the neck. You
But
gotta
he
remember,
doesn't care. The only
Sauron...
thing that matters is the ring.
Okay, still thrown lightsaber through the ring. Fuck, force pull the ring off his finger. I seem to recall.
No.
I seem to recall a fallen human taking him out with a broken sword.
This is just reminding me of like Soul Calibur 4, where they had like Vader as a character. I just recently watched someone do like a arcade playthrough of it. I'm just like, yeah, he's beating up people up, and then he picks up two swords at the end. And is like, yeah, I'm gonna conquer the galaxy with these.
I'm just saying that when you have the Force and you have lightsabers, what's Sauron gonna do? Sauron has to get like close to you. I know he's like 9 feet tall or some shit, and he like has some sort of weird move where he like hammer down on the ground and everyone falls down. But you know, Darth Vader is like, he's not as tall, but he's fucking heavy because of the outfit, and he has the Force to keep him solid.
I would definitely say, think about everything you think Gandalf could do. Sauron probably also can do.
But if we're only basing it on the movies, we only have 1 to 2 minutes of Sauron. Yeah, okay. So I had to think there for a second. If you were talking about Sauron or Sauron, we only have 1 to 2 minutes of Sauron footage where he walks out into a battlefield, slams the hammer down a couple times and knocks people over, and then dies to a guy on his back against a wall with a broken sword.
By a sword explicitly meant to try to kill him, yeah.
I don't know. That's also not in the movie. Can't include that information.
They do explain what Narsil is about, and they make a big deal about putting it back together as the only thing that Aragorn can do to fight him. That's an entire plot point. It just is kind of minor compared to everything else, isn't it?
Sure. If you say so. I think a lightsaber...
It's the only sword that was sharp enough to do so, and without that sword, you can't do it.
Oh, so you're saying sharpness is the key here. So a lightsaber would still cut his fucking hand off.
I don't know.
And apparently...
I would definitely put them on even ground is what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking not. I'm thinking one has high technology, because you're saying that they have to reforge a sword because it's sharp.
But hey, I mean, like, Vader is basically just like a cripple in a suit, right? Versus a Dark Lord at his full power with a magic ring that gives him even more power. Yeah, it's looking really tough.
Let's see. Gives him power over people who wore the ring before. I mean, it doesn't give him any actual power. Again, we only have the movie. We only have the movie to base off.
Over men.
Yeah, the men who wore the ring before.
Or, quote, the other rings. That's more like the direct control. That's where the ring rates come from. But like our film critic here said, it's about the greed and lust for power in the hearts of men that it has control over, not explicitly, you know, like zapping people or something.
Right, that's what I'm saying is that he puts the ring on, it has control over nobody. It has control over the ring rates, maybe, but not even then, because you see Frodo put the ring on. He doesn't have control of the ring rates. They still attack him. So clearly, the ring has control over nobody. He, like, tricked all the other people.
He controls people throughout the whole movie, though.
He doesn't, though. So he promises them power. Vader has the same mind control shit, too. The Force can bend the minds of weaker-willed. You remember Obi-Wan does it.
Even footing, then.
Not really, because, again, we don't see Sauron do that. Sauron is either a loud voice, who's only an eye, by the way, or...
But I do know what we need to do now. We need to take this and we need to submit it to Death Battle and tell them this has to be done.
Darth
and
Vader
that's how we're going to decide it. Sauron versus Vader.
Or we can take it to the comments section. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, take it to the comments section. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. Buy our plushies. Send us money on Patreon if we don't have one. Just mail me like a blank checkbook with your name on it and all the checks signed. I'd like that.
Sure, it's highly legal.
Highly legal, of course. Well, I think that concludes it for now. Shame it's Droll, but we'll go ahead and see what we do next time. I'm Griffin, this has been Theta, and we'll see you for our next Stoneface reaction. Goodbye, everybody.